Good evening and welcome. You're watching the Newshour agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. In the past, there have been multiple debates and largely political ones about the reforms that are being carried out in madrasas across India. Whether they should be done, whether they are being done with a political motive, whether they reek of Islamophobia. We just talk about evidence. In the past, we have shown you how there are multiple instances of how either radical elements were given shelter in madrasas or that madrasas were used to even recruit, radicalize and shelter such people. Today we will show you how it's not just about radicalizing but outright fraud which is being done on the very people who these madrasas are for, the children studying there. Times Now has accessed a report that has been prepared by the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. A report that shows how that funds that are flowing into madrasas have constantly been rising, but the actual spending in madrasas on food and education for the children has been constantly declining. This is a report from June 21 to 22. So if madrasa funds are not used for children, for their education, for their food, where are these funds going? Remember, when Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath had questioned about what is being taught to children in madrasas, about what is actually going on there, and had sought a survey, his actions were tagged Islamophobic. When the Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma took action against madrasas who were linked to terror organizations, he was accused of a witch hunt. Today, when the rights panel is saying that madrasa funds are not being used for the welfare of their students, will they now back the push for reform?
हमारी रिपोर्ट ये बताती है कि ग्रेजुअली मदरसों की इनकम में इजाफा हुआ है, लेकिन बच्चों के खाने और खुराक पे जो खर्च कर रहे थे उसमें 50% तक की गिरावट आई है। साफ साफ बात यह है कि बच्चों की सिचुएशन पैथेटिक है, बच्चों की सिचुएशन वहाँ पे अच्छी नहीं है। यहाँ तक कि हमारी रिपोर्ट ये भी बताती है कि वहाँ जो सिलेबस है वो सिलेबस औरंगजेब के ज़माने में औरंगजेब का बनवाया हुआ है जो वहाँ पे चल रहा है। मैं आपको बता सकता हूँ कि मदरसों के नाम पर एक बड़ी फंडिंग कलेक्ट की जाती है, जाहिर है जिसका इस्तेमाल बच्चों के लिए नहीं हो रहा है।
Now in Assam, after madrasas were found to be operated by Maulvis with link to Al-Qaeda, it's not just the government which has realized the dangers that they pose. Today, locals took matters into their own hands. 3 madrasas have already been demolished by the Assam government, but today it was the turn of locals who dismantled a madrasa. It was found that it had harbored 2 illegal infiltrators from Bangladesh who were linked to Ansar-ul-Bangla terror outfit. This was a demolition not just by the Assam government but by locals who are irate about how their children, their youth are being radicalized in the name of giving them an education. But it seems some people have still shut their eyes about what could happen if reform doesn't take place. The Congress and the Jamiat have both upped their offensive against any reform that is proposed. Today, the Congress in Assam wrote to the minority panel saying that the crackdown and demolition of madrasas in Assam is illegal. In fact, when they were confronted with the report that we have from the NCPCR, listen to them question why only madrasas and not gurukuls are facing such scrutiny.
फंडिंग अगर आ रही है और उसका मिसयूज हो रहा है तो भारत सरकार की एजेंसीज क्या कर रही हैं? और ये जांच एक बृहत्तर रूप से सभी के लिए हो। मदरसे तो शिक्षा के मंदिर हैं, डोनेशंस जारी हैं, सारी जांच के दायरे में आनी चाहिए। सारी एनजीओज को आप जांच के दायरे में लाइए और उसके बाद एक सम्यक और संवैधानिक कार्रवाई कीजिए। सिर्फ वोट लेने के लिए खबरें मत बनाइए, ये खतरनाक है।
एनसीपीसीआर को अपनी क्रेडिबिलिटी बना के रखना चाहिए। हमारा ये कहना है कि कोई भी कमीशन जब कोई फैक्ट फाइंडिंग कमेटी का रिपोर्ट बनाता है उसका पहला शर्त होता है साइंटिफिक टेम्पर पे उसको नापना कि आपके पास फैक्ट क्या है। सरकार की हैसियत नहीं है कि वो भारत के लोगों को पढ़ा सके। सरकार टोटल ध्रुवीकरण, पोलराइजेशन का काम करना चाहती है और आपको ये लगता है कि मुसलमान आपके जूते की नोक पर हैं। तो हम कह रहे हैं अगर वहां पे समस्या आपको है, यौन शोषण होता है, पूरे प्रदेश के स्कूलों को नोटिस क्यों नहीं दी गई? बीजेपी तो खुद मतलब इसका एक हिस्सा है।
Now, in addition to the Congress shooting off a letter, the Jamiat Ulema-e-Hind also had a meeting where they brainstormed about how this kind of action should be stopped, about whether they should approach the court. They also expressed fears about how the atmosphere against minorities in India is being increasingly poisoned, and action against the madrasas is but a guard for that kind of Islamophobia.
कोई भी चीज को हमेशा सही करने की और सही है तो और अच्छा करने की हमेशा गुंजाइश रहती है। आपने देखा ना कि आसाम में क्या हुआ है, तो अब वो तरीका अगर इख्तियार किया जाएगा तो वो तो नाजायज होगा, नामुनासिब होगा। चीज को ठीक करना है, खत्म तो नहीं करना।
अब हमें नहीं मालूम कि ये इन्होंने इन्फॉर्मेशन कहाँ से गैदर की है। जनरली आप भी जानते हैं, सैंपल सर्वे के तौर पे चंद मदरसों या चंद जगहों को से इन्फॉर्मेशन गैदर करके रिपोर्ट लोग बना लेते हैं। लिहाजा इस बात को हम मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं कि 50% ही पैसा इस्तेमाल होता है। लिहाजा हम लोग अपने रिसोर्सेज से इन मदरसों को चला रहे हैं, अवामी चंदे से चला रहे हैं। लिहाजा बेहतर यही है कि इन मदरसों के साथ कोई छेड़छाड़ ना की जाए तो बेहतर है।
मुख्य डिसीजन यह है कि हम मदरसों के ताल्लुक से जो एक गलत इमेज बनाने की कोशिश की जा रही है उसको दूर करेंगे। हम कंप्लायंसेस के ऊपर पूरी तरह से गवर्नमेंट के साथ हैं, जो कंप्लायंसेस हैं वो होना चाहिए, लेकिन हम उसी के साथ साथ इस बात का भी विरोध करते हैं कि मदरसों को टारगेट करके ऐसा इमेज नहीं बनाना चाहिए कि जैसे कोई मदरसा गलत काम कर रहे हैं।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining us now on the debate, Karan Verma, author, Feroz Bakht Ahmed, former Vice Chancellor of Man-U, Zaba Yasmeen, spokesperson of Samajwadi Party, Kamru Chaudhary, leader of the Congress, Shoaib Jamai, president of India Muslim Foundation, and Zubair Memon, political analyst. Mr. Chaudhary, I want to first ask you, let's leave aside the politics for a second. Let's just talk about the data at hand. How is it? And essentially, the madrasa debate is about the welfare of the children, right? So, if the funds going into the madrasas have doubled over the years, why has the spending on the boarding, lodging and food of the children become half? Where is the money going?
Yeah, Padmaja, very valid question today. Where is the money going? But then, don't you feel that this particular report that has come out, written by Priyank Kanungo, is stereotyping all the madrasas of the country under the same umbrella? There might be a loose cannon somewhere here and there. People might be misusing the funds that is coming into the madrasas, because as you know, as a practicing Muslim, all of us used to pay a part of our income to the welfare of the poor people. In this cases, like the madrasa gets the majority of the funds, because we have to pay 2.5% of our wealth to the welfare of the poor and the downtrodden.
Exactly my point, and that is exactly what the report says, that the majority of the funding of the madrasas comes from zakat, which is voluntarily given by people like you. So you should be doubly outraged that money that you're giving in good faith for the education of these children is actually being taken away. That is exactly the reason why a survey and reform is needed. You keep saying, oh, madrasas are educated children. No, sir. They are taking your money, and the children who you are sending it for are not even getting it. And now it is documented in a report.
Accepted. Okay, accepted. Now the point that basically I want to put out here across is that, are the madrasas being regulated by a private university, private board, or any something? It was so far being regulated by the government authorities. There is a madrasa education board out there who looks after the welfare of the madrasas and its students. Now in Assam, you see the entire madrasa board has been abolished. Now who is going to look after these madrasas? That's why I say, don't stereotype all the madrasas under one umbrella. There might be some loose fodder out here and there.
Nobody is stereotyping, sir.
There,
and I'm so glad you accepted that there may be a loose cannon here and there.
No,
which is why chief ministers like Yogi Adityanath, like Himanta Biswa Sarma, all they are saying is, let there be a survey. Let's identify the people you call loose cannons And let's ensure that these loose cannons are not destroying the futures of the children. Then why are you resisting a survey? Why are you resisting action against
Padmaja,
the loose cannons?
Permit me another 20 seconds, please.
Okay,
Just let me remind you, in 2007, the National Commission of Minority Educational Institutions had set up a proposal to, by an act of parliament, it suggested to set up a central Madrassa Board Act to monitor all the madrasas in the country. Now you see what a wonderful madrasa education board is there in West Bengal, wherein all scientific modern education is being implemented in the madrasas. But then the madrasas are never getting destroyed out here. Not they are bulldozed, nor are the children out here turning out to be radicals, as you all
really?
Some people might want to project. But
Actually,
you see in Assam,
I will not project anything. I will quote
of course
you
it is
3
there. We have got a
instances
40%.
where these wonderful madrasas that you are speaking of in West Bengal, since you specifically quoted West Bengal, 3 instances at least where Ansarul Bangla, radicals or terrorists or Maulvis who are affiliated to JMB have been found in West Bengal. Since you say, oh, all madrasas are so wonderfully regulated in West Bengal, I will quote to you 3 instances. But first, let me bring in Feroz Bakht Ahmed.
That's what I tell you. Please do not stereotype the madrasas. These madrasas are there for education purpose. If somebody misuses the madrasa system, no, this is called stereotyping, ma'am. Padmaja, this is called stereotyping because you find some jihadi elements in a madrasas. Then there are central agencies, there is police mechanism to address this problem.
Sir,
to arrest those people.
Hold on a second.
To detain them. To act as per the law of the country.
Which is exactly why acting as per the law of the country, 3 madrasas, including the one in Bongai Gaon in Assam, was brought down because they were harboring terrorists, 1, and they were built illegally on government land, 2. But the moment that action took place against the loose cannon, your party shot off a letter today saying this is a witch hunt against Muslims. Himanta Biswa Sarma is an Islamophobe. He is a Muslim hater. You must stop this. They are harboring terrorists. The children in those madrasas are being radicalized.
There is no doubt
now
about it.
Now I'm showing you additional evidence of it's not just about radicalism. It is about denying children your money. Let me bring in Feroz Bakht Ahmed. Feroz Bakht Ahmed, what do you say to the argument that instead of broad brush stereotyping, why don't you have a madrasa board? Don't just keep saying, oh, this is a terror factory, terror factory, terror factory. Regulate it in a civilized fashion. Feroz Bakht Ahmed.
All right, thank you, Padmaja. I was listening to my learned friend, Mr. Kamru Chaudhary. In fact, all these people, the way they talk about madrasa, they think that the government is interfering in the religious education, blah, 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 all these things. Whatever the language, this is an English program, whether it is Hindi, Urdu, or any other language, their tone and tenure is the same. Now, your question is that as far as madrasas are concerned, so far as this education is concerned, it's very old. And there are more than 3 lakh madrasas in India. They will exist. But what the problems which we are having with madrasas, as you gave the examples of 3 madrasas which had some link with Ansarul Bangla or maybe ISIS, that is very unfortunate. Because as far as I know about these madrasas, I can assure one thing, as some big politician had said, that Sartan se Juda education is given there. No. There is no education like Sartan se Juda, because madrasas, they all talk about peace. And apart from that, let me also tell you that in most of these madrasas, the government is trying, whether it is Himanta Biswa Sarma or it is Yogi Adityanath, both these people, or maybe it is in Bihar or in Madhya Pradesh, they are trying to give some kiss of life to these madrasas. And I am not pontificating. The way, the government of India, is trying, government of India is working on the formula or on the mantra of Prime Minister Modi, who once said that I want to see in each and every Muslim's one hand the Holy Quran, in the other hand I want to see computer. Now this is what the well-meaning government wants. And he also said something, Kamru Zama, आप भी सुनिए. He said, मुसलमान हमारी संतान की माफिक हैं, हम उनके साथ बराबरी का सलूक करना चाहते हैं. तो why are you suspicious all the time? No, whether it is Saudi Arabia, it is Pakistan, it is Malaysia, it is Kuwait, it is Iran, it is Indonesia or any other Muslim country,
please talk
they
about
always
India,
keep on carrying out some survey, and don't ever and never say, just a minute, let me complete, please, don't interfere, Kamru Zama Saab, you had your time. I have waited, I did not interfere in between. Now last 5 minutes, Padmaja ji, they keep on saying, why don't you survey the government schools? Why don't you survey the schools which are run by RSS? There is no problem. That's why they are not surveyed. So there is no figment of suspicion about madrasas. They are doing a good job. But if there is something wrong or if they are backward, so modern education is the need of the day. Apart from the religious course and curriculum, these madrasa children, they are very hardworking. They can learn a thick book like Holy Quran, which is of more than 1,000 pages. This talent has to be tapped, and this talent, according to the dream of Prime Minister Modi, to make India the wish guru and to make India go on a fast track, must be used there.
And they have to be given
English,
the best
Hindi,
facilities like the rest
mathematics,
of the country.
Geography, everything should be taught to these children.
Absolutely. I will quote further from the NCPCR report,
So
but before I do that,
need this help.
A quick bit of information for Mr. Kamru Chaudhary, who was quoting the example of West Bengal. Then I'll come to you, Mr. Zubair Memon. West Bengal. The West Bengal Police's Special Task Force arrested a madrasa teacher from Howrah's Bakra area for connection with the Islamic fundamentalist organization Jamatul Mujahideen. This is not the central agency. West Bengal Police's Special Task Force has arrested this man for being linked to the Jamatul Mujahideen. Then Burdwan blast. NIA arrests Lal Gola Madrasa founder. They were probing the Khargada blast, and they said that the founder of the Lal Gola Mokim Nagar Madrasa was responsible. It was found that he had got money from Netherlands. We've got 2 more such instances happening in West Bengal itself, and I'm not even referring to the cases which have come in from Uttar Pradesh, from Jammu and Kashmir, from Karnataka, and from Rajasthan. Now, Mr. Memon, another part, one, we talk about the funds which are being misutilized. The second part that I want to talk about is the kind of education that has given. And remember, when we talk about a survey, it is to see how are they being educated, what are they being taught, are they being given enough facilities. The NCPCR report points out syllabus employed at Indian madrasas primarily aimed to comprise the study of religious sciences. However, left ignorant of the world around them, many students develop an inferiority complex, being alienated from the rest of the society and unable to adjust with the environment when they are out in the world. Why would you not want a survey where you actually speak to the children and say, आपको क्या चाहिए, क्या प्रॉब्लम है, कोई तकलीफ तो नहीं है, कुछ आपको गलत तो नहीं सिखाया जा रहा है? How is that supposed to be a problem? Here is a child rights panel which is saying that children are being victimized in madrasas. Mr. Memon.
No one has a problem with a survey. The problem is a specific stereotyping a religious body and doing a survey. You can get a survey, an open survey of all the institutions in India, and if you want to pick and choose the cases which you said in West Bengal or something, we have been seeing cases in lately.
Sir, I'm not picking and choosing. These are actual cases, point number 1. And if you're saying, no, hold on a second. You said nobody opposed a survey. Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi's exact words about such a survey were, ये छोटा NRC है. जब सर्वे कराया जा रहा है, बच्चों के लिए कराया जा रहा है, आपने फौरन से लोगों के मन में डर भर दिया कि ये सर्वे नहीं है, ये छोटा एनआरसी है. कैसे छोटा एनआरसी? अगर किसी के बेहतरी के लिए, किसी के बेनिफिट के लिए, टू इंश्योर दैट दे गेट द मनी दैट इज बीइंग सेंट फॉर देम, अ सर्वे इज बीइंग कंडक्टेड. हाउ इज इट छोटा एनआरसी?
True. I will repeat myself. No one is objecting a survey for all the institutions in India, education institutions. But if you want a survey for a specific religious, or you are pointing out a specific religion institution, there would be objections and there will be point outs. If you want a survey for the education institutes, go ahead. Make a blanket survey all over India.
Sir,
you will get a best survey
I am
out
no
of it.
education
But
expert, but let me bring in Karan Verma.
But if you want to point
all
out,
regular
let me speak,
education institutes under the NCERT, under the HRD ministry, are regularly surveyed. Everything is surveyed. Any institution which is under the right to education
is
regularly surveyed.
What's the problem?
That is exactly what the RT is. You are surveyed to see कि जो educational outcomes हैं, are they being adhered to or not? किसने बोला कि सिर्फ मदरसा का सर्वे हो रहा है? हर स्कूल में सर्वे होता है। हमें इसको पता चलता है कि मिड डे मील मिल रहा है कि नहीं है, आपको किताबें मिल रही हैं कि नहीं है, टीचर टू स्टूडेंट रेशियो है क्या? ये हर सर्वे से पता चलता है।
अगर रेगुलर सर्वे हो रहा है तो ये स्पेसिफिक स्पेशल सर्वे की जरूरत क्या है?
Can I make a point?
ये स्पेशल सर्वे है नहीं सर, आप इसको जिस नजर से देख रहे हैं आप स्पेशल नजरों से देख रहे हैं। सर्वे तो हर किसी का होता है, सर्वे हर किसी का होता है।
मैडम आप आपके ही सवालों में पहले कुछ बोलो। अगर ये रेगुलर सर्वे होते आए हैं तो इस स्पेशल सर्वे की जरूरत क्या है?
जवाब देने दीजिए।
स्पेशल सर्वे की जरूरत क्या है? करण वर्मा बताइए।
मैं बता, देखिए इसमें Padmaja, contrary to popular belief, the UP government has actually made giant strides in Madrassa Modernization. Let me tell you some of the initiatives they've taken. 20 lakh students have been given, Muslim students have been given scholarships, which is a staggering number. TET qualified teachers are being kept today for madrasas. Today there is a digital app created by UP DESCO which has digitalized entire madrasa education. So these are the concrete steps you can only take once you identify a problem. Without identification of problem, if you just resort to whataboutery, you will never be able to solve this. And the UP Minority Affairs Minister, Mr. Danish, who's a young person and is extremely qualified, he has laid out a clear roadmap. And they all cried when there was a survey, and it's courtesy these surveys that it's going to come out what sort of irregularities are there in UP. Till there is not going to be regularization of encroachments, of education, of everything, we cannot have anything in an organized manner. Only when we identify which are the areas which are lagging behind as per NCPCR guidelines and also the NCERT syllabus. You will be surprised, Padmaja, that has now come into madrasas. Digital libraries are available for the students. Now this is what you call progress. Whataboutery, of which Mr. Owaisi does. Mr. Owaisi is scared that if these students get educated, tomorrow he will lose out on his vote bank.
What about
he wants to hold these people to ransom. He wants them to remain poor. Absolutely.
Interesting statistics given there. Interesting statistics given there by Karan Verma, who's saying that actually trained TET teachers are being put in madrasas in Uttar Pradesh after they have been surveyed. Interesting that he says that. Why? Because here is part 3 of the NCPCR report, which says no madrasa has a teachers training program. Furthermore, although many madrasas follow Darse-Nizami curriculum, it is widely known that there is a lack of uniformity in terms of things being taught. It is also highlighted that a lack of a teachers training program and many madrasas following Darse-Nizami curriculum, there is a lack of uniformity in what is being taught. This lack of uniformity is evident in the many courses that are provided in different parts of the country. Mr. Jamai. Okay, just my luck. Just when I finally got to Mr. Shoaib Jamai, I think there seems to be an audio issue. Can we please retry this? Sir, are you on mute? Can we fix this? Hello. All right, we'll just try and fix that. I think Mr. Memon wanted to quickly rebut.
I think he has very little to say.
Mr. Memon wanted to quickly, let's be fair to him. I think his mic is not working. Mr. Memon wanted to quickly respond to you.
Of course. The gentleman speaking before us, he pointed out some policies and then just went on to conclude that what Mr. Owaisi has been doing in his statements or so. I would like to welcome this gentleman. Please go ahead, go to Hyderabad and see how the education systems work. See how the poor children get the education in madrasas and schools. You can better get a way to educate the poor people in UP and Bihar and Assam also. And the main problem is, I'll let me complete, then you can counter it. The main problem is that they are not getting problems or getting problematic due to madrasas doing these days. They have been getting problems from last 100 years when madrasas were issuing fatwas against the Britishers, and the forefathers of this Assam Chief Minister and Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister were bootlicking the Britishers. The problem is based there. Only the bootlickers and
I am quoting to you
ancestors have
facts from a
problems with the
report.
madrasas.
You are making rhetorical comments about bootlicking and British and
Padmaja, not a single point.
I am
Not a
quoting to
single
you
point
from
about the
reports, sir.
education.
Teachers है नहीं, curriculum में uniformity है नहीं.
No, Padmaja, can I rebut him?
Okay, Karan Verma.
That is the basic problem.
Has Madrassa modernization been introduced? Have you introduced studies of mathematics, computer, science, which can help them get a job in today's day and age?
Of course they are.
Fact is, Hyderabad lags far behind. It might be doing well in Dini education, but it lags far behind in modernization of madrasas. Some few states, UP one of them, has taken concrete steps in madrasa modernization.
You are making false statements.
No. In fact, KCR admitted that a lot needs to be done for madrasa modernization. He admitted that on the floor of the house. And if there are efforts being made, that should be welcomed. UP and Telangana should learn from each other. Where is the contradiction?
Shoaib Jamai, uniformity, you have lack of, okay, Kamru Chaudhary also wants to rebut you. Yes, Kamru Chaudhary. Then I really want to bring in Zaba Yasmeen. Kamru Chaudhary.
Yeah, basically they go first. Padmaja, very important debate that you are doing today. You must understand which are the students who study at these madrasas. Let me be very clear and candid about this. It is the poorest of the poor Muslim community students who find very easy accessible within their mohallas or within their villages to access a madrasa. They are there because they are promised of free ration, free lodging and a sustained education, whatever may be the education standards. I am not going into that. So in effect, if you want to modernize the madrasa education, we welcome it wholeheartedly, but then address the societal problems first. When the Sachar committee recommendation has clearly pointed out all these anomalies in the Muslim education, then why are we debating now on a survey or using bulldozer to demolish the madrasas?
Because
These
we are only debating that
first,
when there is a problem and it is being addressed, it should not be unnecessarily politicized. That is the only point, sir. Nobody is saying कि मदरसों में बच्चों को पढ़ाइए नहीं. Nobody is saying कि इनको बाहर निकाल दो, इनको educate मत करो. In fact, when you are acknowledging, Zaba Yasmeen, that the poorest kids are going to these places, isn't it incumbent on all of us as a society to ensure that they get the best education that people like you have got in cities, that people like I have got in cities?
Yes.
Why shouldn't they get it? Why should they get some random curriculum? ना टीचर ट्रेंड है, कोई भी आदमी आके पढ़ा रहा है, कोई 2 महीने के लिए पढ़ रहा है, कोई 6 महीने के लिए पढ़ रहा है. Why? They should have education like you and I.
Padmaja, every child has a right to education, not only education, rather good and quality education. Whether the child is studying in madrasa, shakha, private school, government school, no matter where he is studying. But yes, what I am saying is, no place is corrupt, people are corrupt and the system is corrupt. You cannot blame madrasa, you cannot blame शाखा, you cannot blame any government or private school. क्या उन गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स पे बुलडोजर चल गया जहां दाल की जगह पानी दिया जा रहा था, जहां रोटी के साथ नमक दिया जा रहा था, जहां बच्चों से टॉयलेट साफ कराया जा रहा था? सिस्टम इज करप्ट. वी हैव टू वर्क ऑन द सिस्टम. एज यू सेड दैट कुछ मदरसा पाए गए जिनके टेरर लिंक्स हैं एंड ऑल. Action should be taken, but we cannot build up a perception that concept of madrasa is bad. As you're saying that funding is not being used on kids, again it is a matter of investigation.
People who talk
if it is
about
not
the
being
surveys,
used,
Chota NRC, they are the ones who are building a perception. Do you realize you are the one who is creating that perception? All that is being said is, and for everyone who says that, you know, the government is biased against madrasas, the government is trying to paint it as some hotbed of radicalization. Let me actually again give you some facts.
Let me
talking about
generalization,
ghettoization and victimization, here are some facts. According to a NEPA study, over 21,000 madrasas have benefited from central financial assistance to the tune of 1,138 crores as of March 2020. This is the Modi government that as of March 2020 has given 1,138 crores to madrasas. But one should ensure that this money is going to the right place, in the right way, for the right reason. Firoz Bakht Ahmed, in places where midday meal was poisoned, वहाँ bulldozer क्यों नहीं चले, वहाँ पे survey क्यों नहीं हो रहा? Firoz Bakht Ahmed.
Okay. Now, Zeba, just hold on. Hold your horses. Give me a second in the sideline. Padmaja, problem is that all these people who are speaking against the survey in madrasas, either in UP or in Bihar or maybe in Assam, problem is their ghetto mindset. Problem is, you know how Zeba started. She said, oh, you see these students, Muslim students, they have all the right in the world either to study in a good English medium school or whatever kind of education they want. Maybe this madrasa education. I mean, it seems to me that she doesn't want these students who go to madrasa to go to some good English medium schools or advanced schools. She wants that these Muslim children should always be exposed to primitive education and they should not get advanced education, which is a very sad thing. Ghetto mindset. Finally, let me add one thing more. Just a minute. Let me complete. Just 5 more seconds. Let me tell you one thing. As far as madrasa education is concerned, it is high time that it should be advanced, it should be regulated, there should be a proper madrasa board, and all these institutions, whether it is Shishu Niketan of RSS or any other school, they are all regularly...
because this is absolutely a false narrative and it has been based on the false propaganda, Padmaja.
Finally, let me tell you one thing.
Go on, Mr. Jamai.
Let me tell you one thing, that...
Padmaja, okay, allow me to believe for a moment that BJP is very concerned and the government is very concerned for the student of the madrasa. मैं मान लेता हूँ आपकी बात कि भाई आप चाहते हैं मुसलमानों के बच्चे पढ़ें, बहुत मॉडर्न एजुकेशन हो, बहुत तरक्की करे, सब कुछ हो. मुझे सिर्फ इतना बता दीजिए साहब, जितने भी लोग बीजेपी के समर्थन में बैठे हैं, कि ये जामिया मिलिया इस्लामिया तो प्रीमियर इंस्टीट्यूट है इंडिया का, उसका बजट क्यों घटा दिया आपने? अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी तो प्रीमियर इंस्टीट्यूट है, मुसलमानों के बच्चे ही पढ़ रहे हैं, उसका बजट आपने क्यों घटा दिया? इसका कोई जवाब है क्या? आज जामिया में इतना बजट घटा दिया है कि लिफ्ट चलाने के लिए भी पैसे नहीं है, एसी के मेंटेनेंस के पैसे नहीं है. ये हालत हो रही है आपकी. आप बच्चों को पढ़ाएंगे. जामिया इज द third ranking university in India given by the धर्मेंद्र प्रधान last month. और आप इतने प्रीमियर इंस्टीट्यूट जिसके बड़े बड़े पब्लिकेशन दुनिया भर में वर्ल्ड लेवल पे पब्लिश होते हैं, हमारी पेपर पब्लिश होती है, आपने जामिया को बेसहारा छोड़ दिया, उसका फंड ही कटा दिया और फिर आप कहते हैं कि हम तो बच्चों को पढ़ाना चाहते हैं, मुस्लिम बच्चों को. अरे आपकी नीयत सही है नहीं है सर, आप क्या पढ़ाना चाहते हैं?
ऐसा तो है नहीं. आप अगर कह रहे हैं कि मुसलमान के बच्चे पढ़ते हैं और बीजेपी को नफरत है, जामिया में तो हर कोई पढ़ता है, जामिया में तो हम भी पढ़े हैं, इसमें मुसलमानों का क्या लेना देना है? जामिया और मदरसे में क्या कंपैरिजन है?
पद्मजा आप अगर पढ़ी है अगर आप पद्मजा आपने पढ़ा है जामिया में, आपको पता होगा जामिया में मदरसा स्टूडेंट के लिए स्पेशल कोर्सेज चलते हैं. ब्रिज कोर्स चला करके थाउजेंड्स ऑफ मदरसा स्टूडेंट को यहाँ मेन कोर्सेज मिलाया जाता है,
जहाँ पे रिलीजियस स्टडी इंपार्ट होती है.
मैं इंटेंशन की बात कर रहा हूँ.
जामिया इज अ कॉलेज, इज अ यूनिवर्सिटी जहाँ हर कोई पढ़ता है.
I am talking about the intention. अगर आपकी इंटेंशन है कि मुसलमानों के बच्चे पढ़ें तो आपने मुस्लिम इदारों के इंस्टीट्यूशन के बजट ही घटा दिए, तो आपकी नीयत पे तो सवाल उठ रहा है. मैं कैसे आपकी बात मान लूं कि you are right? मुझे लगता है
any educational budget being slashed, sir. I think one, that comparison is very very facile, and the second to say कि क्योंकि मुसलमानों को टारगेट किया है इसलिए जामिया का बजट एडजस्ट किया गया है is also a very unfair comparison. However, the idea was to focus on one report that is talking about outcomes, that is talking about reasons why scrutiny and reform is important. It should not be muddied with politics, because if at the end of the day you say you care for the interests of the children, this report shows you how madrasas are not serving that interest. Thanks very much all gentlemen. Zaba Yasmeen for joining me.